how this message will be communicated, okay, across to the women. And there must be an empowerment and enlightenment aspect to it.
Okay, so what I want to quickly ask is that wasn't there enough enlightenment as regards this particular fund that we're talking about in terms of how to access it?
I don't think there's been enough. We can still do a lot more. Right now, the full potential of women is not being harnessed. Because, for instance, the women need to know how to keep their records. You know, for the banks and the financial institutions, they can be quite strict. And at times you cannot blame them because this is other people's money or money that has to be accounted for to the federal government. But in the same vein, we have other countries doing more in terms of, you know, really coming down from these high horses to meet the women and saying, okay, let's see your cash flow. Let's, you know, help you to prepare this. This is a simple software you can use to capture sales. Let's look at records to deal, you know, where you've been dealing with your customers so that we can know what your capacity is and help you to package something to actually access the loan.
Okay, so
right now there's a mismatch.
So what I'm actually, you know, I'm really hoping that, you know, I can get answers on this, because we know we have various associations that, you know, try as much as possible to help women to ensure that they know what they're supposed to be done as regards doing business. Now, I'm particular about this fund because I remember when it was actually released, about 220 billion naira thereabout. There was a lot of excitement in the air from women and especially youths, because 60% of that fund was going to go to women. Now, from what you're saying, it's almost like why is it a trickle? Is it that nobody knows how to access this fund, or nobody has even tried to access this fund?
There are a lot of, you know, hurdles in the way.
That's what I want to say.
You must, you know, number one, even the women must be educated enough to know that it's, you know, you have to have a very viable business idea. You need to write a business plan. You need to get your cash flow. You can't just say you are loan ready by, you know, word of mouth. That's one aspect. And the other aspect is that the financial institutions need to get closer to the grassroots. For instance, I'll give you an example. I went to deliver a lecture on 7 steps to starting a business in a religious forum for women. You know, this was the NASFAT organization. And after the lecture, somebody just stood up and said, "Madam, does that mean that if I don't know book, does that mean I cannot start a business? Or does that mean I cannot get money?" And she just set me thinking. So if this person is not educated in the Western way, are we saying she cannot do business? And the answer is no, because we know what the market women, you know, have been doing from time immemorial. Okay, so we have to find a way to harness these women.
So what will, you know, female women organizations like yours be doing to ensure that women such as the one you met, who actually raised that question, are not actually pushed to the roadside because they don't have a proper education to understand what it is, but they know how to buy and sell.
They can always
let me come in here. I think the issue has to do with credibility. Our women are very credible. Another aspect is that there is the fear in the women that if I take this loan and I am capable of returning the money, but at the end of the day, you find that there are certain, just like Fayo said, there are certain hurdles that have to be crossed. For instance, when money is being put across to women, there are hurdles to be met. You have to have registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. You have to have some building or collateral or whatever to use to back up
cases.
And at the end of the day, some areas you have to have your husband standing by, or somebody standing by to ensure that
as a surety.
Yes, those are areas where women are very, very careful. I have taken women, and we are working very closely actually under the aegis of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, like we mentioned, where we have women leaders. We've tried as much as possible to call the Bank of Industries. We've had them come in about twice, and questions are being asked. But we are told that there is this money there, but that women are not coming out. The reason why women are not coming out is that we don't want a situation where at the end of the day you have some of the women locked up, you know, because they are afraid to take the money, and at the end of the day they are not able to do what they have to do with it. I have had a situation where we called some women at the grassroots, 20 local governments. At the grassroots, we had them come out. They were asked to pay 2,000 naira, you know, to ensure that they registered and everything. But after about 6 months or thereabouts, the women asked for their 2,000 naira back. Because you see, at the end of the day, well, documentation and everything, the women want to be able to do that. So what we are trying to do at this level actually is to ensure that the women are not put into a position of crisis. Those of us who have value to add, we want to be able to come forth and relate with the central bank if possible, relate with the Bank of Industries if possible. We have been able to get in touch with Smedan and all that, and there's a little bending backwards that has to be done by the various agencies that are keeping this money. We find out that you mentioned that agriculture is being sponsored in Kano State, and it is given to the Kano State government. You find out that so much is done in Ogun State, so much is done in all the states, but you see, you really have to deal with people like us. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries, the facilities are there for us to be able to network with the women, put them together, reach out to them.
But just before you come, let's come in here now. Still talking about this year, there were a lot of gender programs that were driven by first ladies at the federal and state levels. What has been the impact of these activities?
I would say particularly in the aspect of health. For instance, I know there's been some initiative on breast cancer awareness. There have been mammograms, mammography machines, provided, and so on and so forth. In terms of women's health, there's been a lot of awareness. In terms of women economic empowerment, there have been some good results, but we would still say we need more. We need something that is more inclusive, and we need a complete paradigm shift in thinking, because most times people just feed the grassroots with what they think is good for them. But I think development should be more of bottom up. We should empower and give these people a voice. Let them be able to say what is particular, what is really close to their heart and what they need. For instance, as Mrs. Shubaju said, we hear about all these agricultural schemes, but how much monitoring is being done? The women are complaining that at times they don't really get these inputs, they don't get access to the machinery, and they don't get the loans. And those who get the loans say sometimes the husbands take it from them. We are in a patrilineal, society where at times even before a woman can do anything, she has to ask her husband. And from studies, we found out that only about 3% of all land ownership is in the hands of women.
So let's quickly take a break and then we'll come back and continue this conversation. Well, I'm still in the studios with a PR consultant and gender advocate Adenike Shubaju and Fire Williams, who's the first vice president of NECA's Networks of Entrepreneurial Women, and we're looking at women participation in nation building for the year 2013. Business Morning continues in just a moment.